This is the third small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti in London, 1967.
What should we discuss? Talk over?
I got a question which I asked, we didn't have time last time.
I know.
I'm unable to stop thinking about improper way some people have treated me. This has badly affected my sleep and work. I'm rather full of intense anger and dislike, and I'm just worked up. Medicine has failed to be of any use. My mind is not steady and keeps on wandering. Because of this, I am unable to pay attention either to work or lectures or anything. What should I do?
You spoke last Tuesday about seeing oneself totally, and I realized when I pondered about this that this is outside my experience, and that I was putting all kinds of interpretations on what this could mean. I have experience of direct seeing of an aspect, but what seeing totally means, I don't understand.
Would it be possible to continue discussing where we left off last Sunday, this vital question of seeing without the images that present themselves interfere with the clarity of the vision? Also, I feel that this question is connected in some way with the problem of the tendency of the mind to give continuity to pleasure.
I think these three questions are related to each other, aren't they, sir?
Yes.
That gentleman's and yours. And shall we discuss that or something else?
Could we discuss what consciousness is? And if there's anything else?
I have a rather complicated question. I don't know. It's, I think unless I'm deluding myself, I think I see what you mean about looking at something out of a state of silence. In this looking, it is enormous, and you see it, well, it doesn't sound right, most exquisitely. But you've also spoke of at a time about something being out of time and space. And you've also said there is a beauty not created by nature and not created by man. I did not quite understand. Are these things synonymous? Or is this outside the realm of discussion?
Sir, I think if we answer those three questions, it will be related, I think. Should we discuss that or something else? How shall we begin this? So what is the mechanism that builds images, which prevents seeing and so on? You say it's memory. Why do we create images about? Why do we create images, first of all? And what do we mean by an image? Image may be a word, a symbol, an idea, or a group of ideas, beliefs that one has cultivated, the background and so on. Why do they come into being at all first?
They get some kind of pleasure.
No, if we reduce everything to pleasure, then you follow?
The question is, why do we do it?
Yes. First, why do we have images about people? Let's begin there. Why do we have images about people? Is it a form of self-protective reaction?
For me, it is my fear which produces the image. For me, it's my fear which produces these images. And I think that my thought is going after my desires, which are right, and producing all sorts of suppositions that justify this fear in me.
That is, fear produces certain forms of images.
Yes. Via thought. What is my question would be how to be free from this desire. I know something about it, but yet I am entirely impotent. I can do absolutely nothing about it.
Is it because we feel a certain security about putting things into categories? Among so many things that are changing and shifting, if we can form a conception about a certain thing, an idea, then that represents, in our feeling of insecurity, represents a point of security because it's handy, it's usable, it's exploitable. We can put all these various images together, sometimes for communication, but it's something on which we rely. It seems to be fundamentally. It gives us a sense of stability because we feel the need for stability, because we feel our needs.
You mean you're saying, sir, that it's much easier to have images because it gives us a starting point, a security, a sense of well-being.
This is what I find in myself when I'm using images. This is what I'm doing in form. I see its futility, perhaps, in many respects. But I see myself doing this from time to time.
So, you were saying, how did they start? Images about people. But to my mind, there's no question how it starts with me. I get an impression from a face. That is the foundation, the starting point. And from then on, that's the difficult part, to trace what happens to it after that.
Why do we do this, sir? What is the raison d'être for this image making all the time? Why? Is it just for security? A form of laziness? Quick judgments? And if there was no image at all, what would happen? So, wouldn't it be better, sir, if we could discuss what is relationship? Approach it that way a little bit. What is relationship? Can there be a relationship if I have an image about you? But yet I have an image about you. And you have it about me. And we say we are related. Is it at all possible to prevent image making, and is it at all possible to be in relationship without any image, I will use that, any image? You have hurt me, and I have an image about you. Why do I keep that image? Or you have flattered me. Why do I hold on to that image?
Because at the time it was pleasurable. There's something
No, sir, a little more. Let's go into a little more.
I have identified myself with the images, and I feel that without them I would be completely lost.
So is not the image making a form of being occupied with something? Because most of us are occupied with something, with a problem, with an image, with what I'm going to be, my worries, my hurt. My mind is occupied. An image, to be occupied with the image is marvelous. So is it, we are exploring, is it that the mind needs to be occupied and therefore it's building these images?
In certain spheres of life we need to.
That of course, we know, we've said that before.
Then there is a habit to apply to every sphere.
A mind that's not occupied, but is acting, has it an image? Must it have an image for action? I'm occupied with my security, with my safety, with my hurts, with the things you have said about me, pleasant or unpleasant. That may be the real thing. The mind needs to be occupied. Whether I occupy myself with God or with sex or with hurts is the same thing. It's on the same level. So, is it that my mind is afraid not to be occupied?
I don't think the mind itself is afraid not to be occupied. that as far as I understand, in myself, these reactionary activities towards the images I form of what I see, is that I have a kind of structure inside myself which, without anything I do, will react.
No, but I've told Madam, you say something very pleasant to me. I'm occupied with that pleasant, the feeling. And I cultivate you as a friend. Or you've said something which is not very pleasant, and I keep thinking about it. Is that one of the reasons why the mind must have an image? Because it must be occupied? No. Let's find out.
We see everyone around us cultivating images, and this is one form of our repetitiveness, that we feel we are nothing if we haven't got an image ourselves. I think this is one of the factors that comes into it.
So that's what I'm saying. I have an image about myself. I am inferior, superior, this or that. I have an image about myself. And I'm occupied with it. I don't want to bear on that point all the time. And we're trying to explore into this question, why the mind builds images in any form at all, symbols, ideas, for all that.
Isn't it almost a mechanical process that takes place? I see someone, they hurt me or they flatter me.
Let's go into that, sir. You see someone, you are insulted. Somebody says something against you. Why is one occupied with it? Either what he says is true or not true. If it's true, you examine it and finish with it. If it's not true, you drop it. But the occupation with it, the continuity of it, why?
Well, it makes an impression on the mind, doesn't it? And it's like a mental photograph or symbol that goes into the brain cells of the mind.
And that's we know the mechanism of it, but why does it keep on repeating it?
Is it not because we cannot see whether it is, we can't see clearly enough to see whether it's true or not?
If you say I'm a fool, I may be a fool. I look at it, and why should I be concerned everlastingly about it?
Because we're not trying to compensate. If we accept the fact that we are, someone says I'm a fool, and I see it, and that means that I am. And if I really see it, then I have to admit it.
All right, then why don't I see it? The moment you tell me I'm a fool, why don't I see it? Because I have an image about myself that I'm not a fool. But why do I have that image? Go into it, sir. Why do I have that image?
Because I want to be something.
No, go into it a little more, sir, a little more.
I have something to protect.
For me, it requires more energy.
Big one?
For me, it requires more energy.
Now, hasn't all education, our whole environment,
Of course,
continually?
So, I wonder if this is, we'll constantly find reasons. Perhaps this why question is the wrong question. Perhaps we should ask it in another way and say, do we have to go on with it? And this might then...
No, make it very, let's keep it very simple. You say something pleasant to me,
Yes.
or unpleasant. I think about it, chew it. And I've already, in that few seconds, I've built an image about it.
Yes.
Now, why am I doing it?
dislike it, you try to get rid of it. If you like
But
it,
I keep it.
repeat
But
it.
it's the same process.
Well, it
If
would-
I dislike it, I try to keep it away from me, worry about it, how to keep it, all the rest of it. If it's pleasant, I keep it, which is the same process.
It would seem that the whole basis would be pleasure. I mean, if we dislike it, we get rid of it. If we like it, we continue with it.
Don't reduce it to pleasure yet. Go put away that. Let's examine it. I'm just asking myself, why do you do it, sir?
Because we constantly compare.
The necessity to see that I exist as I see myself.
Yes. But I refuse to see myself as I am because I have an image about myself which is different from actually what I am.
We don't know.
Huh?
One doesn't know what one is at all.
Then just let's look. Why do I have to have an image?
We never go beyond that image to explore further. We just stay there.
We've seen a glimpse of what we are, but actually going back, we prefer to keep hang on to the image.
If you reduce everything to pleasure, then we have blocked ourselves. We can't explore further. So look, you call me a fool, and whatever it is, you insult me. Why can't I? And the reaction is no. It's like if you put a pin into me, I must react. But why do I retain it and build something out of it? You insult me and you have reason, or no reason. And I see by the way of it. And I discover it's finished. Why is not my reaction as quick as to receive the insult and create the image? Why don't I have the same quick reaction to examine it and finish it? You understand what I mean? My reaction to your insult is very quick. And why don't I have the same intense, quick reaction to say, is it true?
But it's only the image that reacts.
Therefore, sir, go into it. Let's go into it.
Therefore, reaction takes place of the same kind.
No, madam. No, we are trying to find out why this. Why we give continuity to an insult or to a flattery?
My listening to the insult is very partial. If it would be more deep, then I would have this capacity not to react in this habitual way.
Didn't we already go a step further than that when we said, why do we have an image about ourselves? Which
Yes. We're coming back to that. Why do I have an image about myself at all?
Because you're convinced there's an entity.
Huh?
Because you're convinced that there's an entity.
Which means what? I'm a static entity.
Well, not
I'm
necessarily.
adding to it, taking away, but there is a core which is static. Huh?
Yes.
Which means what?
But egotism
Huh?
creates a sort of private time.
Private?
A private time.
Well, sir, the whole process of education is the building up of the image.
Yes, sir,
They tell a child, do this, don't do that,
Yes,
and so
but-
forth.
but-
And
That's all understood. We know all that. So the whole social, economic, educational system is to build up this thing. Right. We know that. But behind or through all that, there is a core which is always, which refuses to accept the movement, the change, the flow of life. You insult me, all right, you insult me. You may be right. But there is a deep down image and says, no, he's wrong. There are justifications, excuses, and all the rest of it. Which means that deep core refuses to face facts. Facts about all the rest of it. Now, why?
There's something that wants to hold on to something which I have created, which gives me security, safety.
Madam, do I know there is inside me, inside the skin as it were, an immovable, concrete, definite, static state? Do I know it?
It feels this way. What has this? We made the image so beautiful to ourselves that it feels this static thing. I have a feeling it's because we won't face the fact of death. We won't go.
But yes, I don't face the facts, but there is something in me that refuses to face facts. What is it? Fear?
At a very early age, I believe, I can think back when I realized there were just thoughts going through the mind, all different kinds. And I looked for stability. I was about 16 or so. And I tried to create, it was almost a conscious process of creating a stability within me that I could refer everything to. In other words, out of this just maze of thought, there was a core that was actually consciously built to prevent this constant movement. It's just a reaction of the mind, or it's a process of the mind to create something stable or certain.
Yes, sir.
It would seem that if I face the fact, something in me has to undergo change.
So what is it? So go into it, sir. I refuse to change.
Yes.
Now, why?
Because it represents security with this attitude of mind. But if I change, this whole attitude to life has to undergo change too. As a natural consequence. In other words, I cannot hang on to the two.
So, wait, sir. Go into a little further.
This seems more stable.
Then, if I refuse to change, what's going to make me change?
I don't know.
Go into it, sir. We'll go into it. Just go step by step into it. There is, you insult me, and I react to it very quickly. And that reaction, such rapid reaction, creates the image. Why don't I, with equal rapidity, see if what you're saying is true or false? Which means I refuse to accept a change. Right? In myself. So there is a me that refuses to budge an inch. Refuses to move. That is, refuses to undergo a tremendous change. Which means that the change is to react immediately to see the truth of what you're saying and finish with it. That's a tremendous change. And my mind refuses to do that. Right? Now, what will make it react with the same rapidity? Go slow, sir, go slow. Circumstances, personal inclination, so we come to a much more fundamental issue, which is what will change me who refuses to change? And I recognize I need change, intellectually, emotionally, all the rest of it, but basically I refuse to change. So what makes me change? I've tried will, resistance, I've effort, pain. I've done all those things, but the core doesn't change. I don't know if you have noticed the same quality of that, a quality that goes on through life. An experience, a state of mind that holds on. And unless there is change in there, there's no change at all. So what will change? So you see, sir, to bring about a change in that, they have invented all kinds of things. I don't know, identification, waiting for the grace of God, prayers, but it's still there.
Don't you have to inquire why you want to change?
Well, that's very simple. If I don't change, there is sorrow. I'm in conflict.
So what do you mean by change? Do you mean, you often talk about flux. Do you mean this natural movement, development, or do you mean mutation?
I mean mutation. Look, I believe. For where I'm taking that as an example. I'm a firm believer in God. I'm taking that as an example. Or I believe in communism, or it is to me a vital necessity, a deep-rooted urge. And any amount of reasoning, any amount of circumstantial pressures, this and won't change, won't bring about a mutation there. And what is one to do? They put it down. I am a dull man. Dull, in the sense my mind isn't very sharp, clear, precise. And I polish it, but still inwardly I'm dull. Insensitive, all the rest of it. Now, the change we are talking about is the cessation of that dullness, not the outward polish. You follow, sir? The complete mutation in that state of dullness.
So this is already another image.
No, there is no image at all. I'm aware that I'm dull. I'm stupid, insensitive. And I do everything to become sensitive, clever, cunning, all the rest of it. But the core of it is still dull. This one observes this in various forms.
This I see. But to see what am I to do?
No. Any action of doing about dullness is still dull.
Yes, and it's
It's
Making
muted,
an
yes.
image to be. This is it. Yes.
An experience of something else. Is there anything which
A dull mind, if it experiences anything, it must still be dull.
We have to start with the dull mind.
I am dull, that's a fact.
But we have a polished outside because we haven't accepted that.
Which is what? I have an image that I am, all the rest of it. So how is a change to take place without polish, without effort, without creating an image which appears to be very clever, soft, sensitive, but actually it's not. So one comes back to the question, am I aware that I am dull? Or do I say, well, parts of me are dull, but by Jove, the other parts of me are not at all dull. So I have compensated myself with the parts which are not dull. So, am I aware that I am totally dull? You follow them totally, quotes. Not in fragments.
So even this concept of your dullness is an image. The minute you say you are dull, this is again
No, I agree.
second an
But
image.
you see, my
why
dull,
not be,
of
why
course,
not function with that image?
I have compared myself with you, and through that comparison I have discovered I am not as sensitive, as clear as you are. It's not an image. I see you think better, feel better, you are more clear. And I say, by Jove, I am not. So, do I know my dullness because I compare myself with somebody? And this is very important, please. So, can I observe myself without comparison? And then, would I know that I'm dull? So I only know that I'm dull, shallow, insufficient, all the rest of it, because I have a measure. Follow this up. The measure is the image. The image which I apply to you and which I apply to myself through comparison. I have a measure. In Sanskrit, ma is to measure. And also it means the root to create illusion. The moment I measure, I create an illusion. Right, sir? Now, if I do not create this illusion through comparison, which is measuring, then how do I know I'm dull? How do I know I'm shallow? It's only in comparison I know that I'm shallow. If I have no comparison, what takes place? Wait, sir, no, this way, go into it, sir. What takes place? I do not compare myself with anybody. Actually, I don't. Not that I'm conceited or this or that. That conceit means that I am better than some, all the rest of it. So, but if you refuse to compare yourself with anybody, high or low, or what takes place? Huh? No, sir, go little more. What takes place? Can you do that? Can you stop measuring yourself? First, otherwise, if you don't stop it, you can then it becomes a theory. Can you actually stop measuring yourself with something? Not only with an exterior object, but also the measurement which you have with the memory of yesterday. I don't know. So when we are talking about no measurement, not only outwardly, but inwardly no measurement, can one do that? So, if you don't measure what takes place, that's what we come to that.
There is no thought.
Huh?
There is no thought.
You mean so you have only thought because you measure?
But who is it that's doing the measuring?
Who is it that is measuring? Habit, the entity that has all its life measured. When I'm in class, the A is cleverer than B, and B is always working up to A. You know, whole educational system. And in office, in churches, the Savior, you follow, the whole system is based on this. Sociological as well as psychological world is based on this idea.
So we have to be aware of this to live in ordinary life.
It takes place in ordinary life.
If you're not aware of these differences between yourself today and yourself yesterday, and how you're one thing, another person has another.
Of course. But we are going a little bit further and deeper into it. Why do I measure at all? Is it just a conditioning? Why do I say, as that gentleman says, I don't sleep because somebody has insulted me, I'm angry. What? So can I live a life in which there is no measurement at all, except in things which I have to, technologically, which I have to do? Now this is really because this implies, doesn't it, no demand for experience at all. Huh? I am dissatisfied with what I am. My dissatisfaction with what I am has arisen through comparison because I have an image or an idea or a thought that it's marvelous to be satisfied. I have known moments of deep satisfaction, and I compare myself with that which has gone, and I am dissatisfied. So I build images in order to be satisfied. Which comes through comparison. And if I don't compare, have I an image at all? No, you have to do it. Then what takes place? Do I become stagnant? No, sir, this is a very important question. Because through comparison, I feel I am advancing. I am living, I am moving, I am changing, I am becoming, I am, all the rest of it. If there is no comparison, does all that come to an end? Therefore, what takes place?
One becomes very attentive and alert.
And a little more, sir, go into it, sir. What takes place?
Pure action.
I don't know what you mean by pure action, sir. What takes place if I don't compare at all? And is such a state possible, sir? We're talking so glibly about it. If I really felt that, then I would be out of society altogether, psychologically, tomorrow.
The eye which compares is captive in the thinking
process.
Comparison.
Yes.
But the eye which would be free of comparison, free of thinking, is a different eye. It's not the same.
No, of course not. But is it possible not to compare? When I have been brought up from childhood to compare,
is it possible not to be captive?
Yeah, not to be captive, same thing.
Yes.
That means I have no comparison, no measurement of any kind. It's a very dangerous thing, sir. You follow? Does it mean then I release all my... I have no inhibitions? Nothing to control my desires, urges, you follow? No, don't theorize, sir. Don't theorize about this. If you
with his eyes, his leaves and eyes. The eye, which is comparing through thinking, is an eye produced by thinking. That eye can't see thinking, it's of thinking. If it sees it, it goes. It's a curious factor that,
yes.
that the thinking imprisons the eye in its own process. And if it looks at that process,
it disappears.
It goes. And then that eye, which is left, is not the same, or at least it's not in the same state.
Is it not the solid center that you spoke of, that this becomes an idea? Because I'm not at all sure that this solid static center is really there. I think it's just an idea.
Of course. But look, I mean, to actually to live every day without comparing. Because in comparison there is conflict. No?
Oh, yes.
Of course.
The whole enmeshment.
Oh, the whole business. And if I don't compare, does my mind become dull? Why? When I have been conditioned through life, through all the rest of it, to compare. That's all I know. And you come and tell me, don't compare. My fear is, all right, but what takes place if I don't compare? Am I going to, you follow? Am I going to stagnate?
The I that's imprisoned in the thought which compares
Yes,
wants
yes.
to exist. He's afraid, afraid of perishing.
Put it any way you like. The result of it is that I'm...
You asked also if it meant the abandoning of all restraints.
Of course.
That's an absolute question, yes.
Then what is virtue? Is virtue a comparative thing? And if it is comparative, it's immoral.
Yes, but when the question is asked, it is asked as a mental question.
No, I'm asking not as a mental question, actually.
Well, the answer is mental.
No, wait a minute, sir. Do I know order because I have measured with disorder? Do I know hunger, actual hunger, because I was hungry yesterday compared? You follow, sir? Hunger is immediate. It's not comparable. But when I compare myself that I was angry yesterday, and today I am not angry, it's much better state, and I call that virtue. Is it virtue? No. Therefore, what is virtue?
Non-comparison.
If order is outcome of disorder, you follow, sir?
Yes.
I know disorder in my room or in my self-confusion. And out of that disorder, I create order, which I call virtue. And is that virtue? So, is anything born out of duality, order, disorder, does it not contain still another form of duality? I don't know if you...
Indeed, yes. That is why I was trying to say that the I, which is in thought, conditioned by thought, produced by thought, is a different type of...
Of course, sir, of course.
So they can't be compared.
Of course.
The virtue is known by one, not as a state of comparison, but as a totally different state.
So what is virtue?
It is in that.
What about if you react spontaneously and appropriately in any situation without any comparison immediately?
That's just an idea. That's just a theory. But
is it an idea? Isn't it
no,
an action of living?
Yes. What I'm suggesting is it possible to live without comparison? And that implies tremendous lot. It isn't just an idea which was carried out. It means what is virtue, what is order, what is truth, what is falsehood. You follow that? Is order. Does order come because I have known disorder? Is silence the cessation of noise? If it is the cessation of noise, then it can again be made noisy. And that's why it isn't just, I don't compare. One has to understand all these things. I mean, I want to be orderly. I want, quotes, I'm not saying. It is necessary to be orderly. Orderly in every direction. Now, how do I know what is orderly? Society has told me to be orderly is to be virtuous. According to the virtues of society, which is obviously immoral. I mean, society says you go and compete, get as much money or be famous, all the rest of it. And so I say that's not order. But what is order? When I reject disorder, is that out of that comes order? Or order and disorder have nothing to do with another kind of order? And this is what you were saying. So as long as I have a duality, it is disorder. Now, how does that duality come?
Isn't it a question of partial vision and total vision?
No. We are asking, how does this duality come into my being? I hate and I love. The hate-love relationship people. And so that I know duality all the time. Why? Obviously, because there is the observer. No? So we'll come back to the question, can the observer come to an end? As long as there is an observer, he must compare. As long as there is an observer, there must be duality and the conflict of the opposites, and so on, so on. So, is it possible to observe without the observer? Is it possible to look at the insult, which that gentleman said makes him angry? Is it possible to listen to that insult without the observer? And that listening must be as instantaneous as the other when you receive the insult. Otherwise you have given space for the observer to come into being. I don't know if you follow. Right? Is that clear, sir?
Yes, I found that if I want to understand somebody, it's no use trying to understand them as though they were through the filter of my own ideas. I want to understand how they see things. I have to see it as though it were true, as they are seeing it.
No, I have no time for all that.
No. by that. But the insult, if directed to me, if I wish to see if this is true or not.
I have no time even for that, sir. We've gone much further than that. You see, sir, to be occupied with, even for a second, with what you say is true or false, is already the image forming mechanism has taken place. I don't know. And I'm not really concerned whether you insult me or don't insult me or flatter me, because that's a very trivial affair. So our question is, can the observer, the experiencer, the thinker and all the rest of it, can that entity come to an end? Which is the fundamental change. And that change, can that take place because of a reward? You follow, sir? Because I'm going to have much wider and deeper experience if the observer is not. Then we return to drugs, all that follows. So if silence is not the cessation of noise, or peace is not the cessation of conflict or war, then what is silence? I only know silence when noise ceases. I don't know the other silence. And if my mind is not silent, it can't see. But the seeing, when the noise stops, is quite a different kind of seeing than the seeing when there is silence. I don't know if Is it time to stop, sir?
10 past 10, sir.
I think we best stop, don't you?
There seems to be play on words to a certain extent. Because you say, when noise stops, there is a silence, which is not the silence of
Sir, look, sir.
another sort of silence.
No, you take. We have peace between two walls.
Yes. But real peace.
That's not
say
peace.
The word. No, but to say real peace.
Wait, I used it very quickly to get on. Between two walls, what is generally called peace is between two walls.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. No, one doesn't think that.
Yeah. Or we know silence when noise stops.
Yes.
Either the noise is made to stop forcibly,
yes.
or the noise is too painful, therefore I suppress it, or I want pleasure of that silence which not when noise stops.
Yes.
So I see when noise stops, the silence which comes into being when noise stops is really not silence at all.
But what do you mean by silence at all?
That's what I'm going to it.
Yes.
Therefore, there must be a silence in which there is no duality.
But why give a word to this?
We use the word X would do, X would do. I'm just telling you.
No, but I mean you're creating another opposite.
No. I'm just saying, all right, sir, when noise stops, the silence which comes out of that is not silence, right? But then the mind asks, what is silence? I say, what is real peace?
Psychological peace.
Yeah,
Psychological silence.
deep down, psychologically, what is it to be at peace? Not satisfaction, all that too childish and mature.
Why does one ask such a question? Because how does one know there is such a thing?
I'm going to find out. I must find out. I don't know. There may be no such thing at all.
Yes.
But my mind, which has sharpened itself by seeing the noise and the outcome of when the noise stops, there is a silence, and I see that is not, you follow, that's not real peace at all. So I say, all right, then what is real peace? Is there such thing?
You see, for us, I think when you say what is real peace, we start immediately projecting an image.
No, we'll finish with that.
We do, but we do
of course,
this
of
all
course.
the same, and to avoid this.
So that's why, sir, we said, what is virtue? Do we stop? No, sir.
Not on our behalf, please.
Huh?
Not on our behalf, please.